We continue live here in Peoria, Arizona. It's Wyman and Bob, Seattle Sports on 710. We get a chance to speak with a guy we've had a chance to speak with a number of times. Always a great conversation with one of the superstars of this rotation. Always, we debate every day. Who's the ace? Who's the ace? And he's come up a few times. Bryan Woo is with us. How are you, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great, and that's such a cool thing talking about this rotation. Is throughout the season, Dave and I are. He'll be like, Bob, who do you think's the ace right now? And it changes from one week to the next because you guys are so dominant. And you had some electric performances last year. I'm curious, are you a guy that goes back and watches games, or goes and watches? Hey, I was sizzling here. I had a tough time here. What was the difference? Or how do you review last season?
Yeah, I definitely go back and watch games. Day after, usually try to watch it through and pick up on some things, and then you're always kind of looking back. Like, you're in a good spot, you're looking, back at kind of what you've done well, and then if you're in a bad spot, you're like, how did I, what was I doing when I was doing well, and how do I kind of pick up on some of those things. But the season as a whole obviously was overall, an improvement, a step in the right direction. Obviously, still disappointing not making the playoffs. I think that's kind of the overarching, goal. No matter what, I think, no matter how the individual stuff goes throughout the year and how good or bad of a year you have, it all boils down to that: are we making it into October? So, great, obviously, and progressing, but still after the ultimate goal.
What was different for you coming back this year? Each year, I know your first year, you're kind of trying to figure things out, and then each year you kind of pick something up and you're more confident. What was anything stand out to you coming back this year?
Yeah, I think having a little bit better sense, I think, of what I wanted to do this offseason and how I wanted to go about certain things. I think something that helped me in going into last year was keeping my on-field approach pretty simple, knowing what I wanted to do and how I wanted to attack certain things. But off the field, in terms of the weight room and training and nutrition, dieting, sleep, whatever it is, kind of always finding little ways to get better. And I think was able to, pick up on a couple of things at the end of last year that I think really helped. And so building on those things and then, taking into the new year and always trying to get better at the things that you're not as good at and kind of sustain the things that you've done well. So it's a mix of both.
When you look at your numbers, what are the important numbers to you? Because when I'm looking at a pitcher, I'm looking at their strikeout to walk ratio. I mean, certainly ERA. I don't pay attention to wins and losses. But for you, looking at your numbers, at 2.89, you had 101 strikeouts and just 13 walks. So your command was spectacular. But for you, what tells you, I was doing well or I wasn't doing well? What numbers do you look at?
I think the first number is innings. Am I staying healthy? Am I on the field? Am I going deep into ball games for the team? Am I, making quality starts? I think as I'm finding my way into the league a little bit and with the team and our rotation is kind of that's our overarching theme is, I think everybody talks about the staff and how good everybody is and what it is, but for me, the biggest thing is being workhorses and, going deep into games, putting up innings, putting up quality starts, and you kind of string together one after another. Everybody's good is really good, but I think making sure that we're staying consistent. Our bad starts are still, 6-7 innings. Guys are going deep into games. We're still giving our bullpen, a breather and what that is. So, just kind of making sure that you keep the important stuff in perspective, and I think the other stuff like, strikeouts and ERA and all that things kind of work themselves out as you go.
Do you have an innings goal? We talked to Logan. His was 200, and he reached that last year, one of two in the entire league. For you, you went 121 and a third last year, so do you have a number in mind for this season?
Yeah, I want to get to 200 for sure. I think there's a right way to go about it as well, of healthy, of kind of, there's a build-up. You don't just go from 120 to 200 innings if you haven't done it before. So I know it's going to take some time, but, just staying healthy throughout the year. The goal is eventually getting to that 200 innings, 30-plus starts a year. And quality start after quality start and whatever it may be, but making sure that the consistency of start to start and kind of making sure that when it's my turn to go take the ball that I'm doing my job for the team. And like I said, kind of all those other things are important, of strikeouts and K to walk and all that stuff, and making sure that I'm commanding the zone that I want to. But I think it all kind of starts with innings and starts.
Bryan, we talked to Ryan Dempster, who pitched for a long time in Major League Baseball, national guy now, media-wise, and everybody knows about the rotation here in Seattle and talk about how there's ones and twos. Basically, there's no 1 through 5. And like Bob said, almost like every 3 or 4 weeks we'll go like, okay, who's the ace? So do you get a sense for that? Like how cool that is, or is it? Do you pay much attention to media and what everybody is saying about this rotation?
I definitely try not to pay too much attention to it. I think it's definitely inevitable. You'll run into things. TVs are on and people are talking or whatever it is. But I think we do a pretty good job of trying to just kind of stay focused on what we're doing on the field and what our job is and what we got to do to get ready for a game that night. And I think everybody is, people see how talented the staff is, on the field, but I think what people don't see is how good of just human beings they are, off the field. And so, paying attention to the right things and making sure that we're focused on the right things and keeping the main thing. So, I think, like you said, I think our staff, we have the privilege of anybody that goes out is our ace that night, especially when we're all going good and doing the right things. We're attacking. We're in the zone. We're making sure that we're getting right after guys. There's no playing around. It's once you get the ball in your hands and you're crossing those white lines, it's go compete. So just keeping the main thing. But I think we're definitely very lucky. I think I'm realizing how special this group is these first couple years that I'm getting in.
So you're ignoring all the national. You listen to us, of course, but our show, but everything else you're tuning out.
Yes.
Clearly, that's the message.
No,
our video guy here, Justin, was talking to you before we had you on and talked about a compliment that Cal paid you and said you've got easy cheese. Talking about you're effortless, and I've always compared you to Mariano Rivera, who was a guy I watched all the time who didn't look like it was max effort. You can see when guys are really getting behind it, and your ball just pops, and it doesn't look like you're putting a lot of strain. I mean, is that just a function of your mechanics? Is that just a natural thing, or has it always been like that for you? Because it does look like easy heat, or as Cal said, easy cheese.
I mean, I think as I've developed as a pitcher, getting to know my body a little bit better, and how to move and how to use kind of my whole body the right way, and using my legs and my core and things of that sense to put less strain on your arm. I think it's a kind of a lost, I wouldn't say lost art in terms of modern day pitching, of everything's about velocity and moving as hard as you can and throwing as hard as you can, and those things are obviously important in today's game. But I think making sure that you are in tune with your body and how you're moving and things of that sense. I think there's definitely a balance to it. You don't want to get too deep into it, and that's a slippery slope as well. But making sure that my body's moving down the mound the right way, and that the ball's kind of feels like it's kind of coming out on its own. I think I didn't do it on purpose. It's kind of just what feels right, and then now it's obviously led to some deception and some life on the fastball and things like that. But definitely wasn't always like that.
Bryan, what are some of the things that you do in the offseason as far as like working out? I mean, are there certain things you try to stay away from? I mean, you're not just doing a normal like bench press and incline press. I mean, what kind of like specifically, what kind of things are you doing, and have you kind of narrowed that down over the years? Yeah,
I think learning myself over the last couple of years and kind of what I need. Strength and conditioning is a lot about, it's individualized as you get up and get into higher levels of what are you good at, what are you not as good at, what do you need to improve, what do you need to sustain. So for me, it's a lot of core flexibility, stability. I'm like, they call it hypermobile, like pretty flexible and whatnot. So for me, it's a lot about, core and stability. It's about like lower half strength, Making sure that I'm kind of doing my arm care for my shoulders and elbows and things like that. But yeah, it's definitely not a whole lot of like squatting and benching and things like that. It's all functional movements.
Are you everybody makes fun of Logan and his big bag of toys and all that, but have you tried any of them? Do you look at them and go, hey, you know what, this there's something to this, or is that not your thing?
I mess with him a lot about it, but I think there's definitely, some validity to it. I've tried a couple of things. I don't know if I'll get fully into the water bag stuff, but
Or the big oven mitt thing.
I try to pick up on like what it's being used for and like why it's useful and like dig into that part rather than just like do it. I'll ask him a lot of questions about it and like what he's trying to do with it. And obviously he's been, our workhorse of workhorses, stays healthy, makes his starts, goes deep into the games. He's throwing harder than he ever has. His stuff is better than it's ever been. And so there's definitely, you try to watch other guys and see what they're doing and how to do it. But, I'm kind of just always learning from everybody. Everybody's got, a different routine. Logan's got his stuff. Bryce is very into, like, the analytics. And, obviously he's got a new pitch every couple of days. So, that's something different. And George is, like, kind of really knows himself well. And same with Louie, where they know what they're trying to do and what their game is, and they don't stray too much away from it. So they're very consistent like that, and so it's good. You try to pick up little things from everybody.
Water bag? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's
what is that one?
That's what the big thing is.
The oven mitt.
Well, the oven mitt is like a throwing sock, so it's just a ball you throw into it. But the water bag is the big. He's got like the little circle one. It's just like filled with water. You see the big rectangle ones. It's all just like for stability.
Yeah,
so.
okay.
The water creates instability. You got to kind of control it and make sure that you're moving well through those things.
So some of the things that he breaks out, you're like, that's
I'm like,
that's
you're
crazy.
You're making things up. But yeah,
You're just messing with everybody.
No, it really is. Like you'll watch him do some of the things, and you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're making a fool of yourself, kind of. But then he goes out and throws 200 whatever innings and throws 100. So it's like, all right, well,
it's working.
Works for you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, outside of this rotation, obviously this is the best rotation in baseball. But are there pitchers on other teams you look at and go, hey, I like what this guy does, or I like how he does this, or how he throws this pitch? Do you take things from other pitchers around the league?
Absolutely. I think you could find something with every single pitcher in baseball of things that they do well. I think for me, I try to now look at like people that have similar stuff as me, move similarly. How they attack hitters and the way that they go about pitching and kind of like what their mentality is. But yeah, you're always watching. You're always picking up on guys. If we're watching, if we're watching a game, we're obviously watching our guys, but it's fun watching, whoever the other team is putting out too, and kind of like watching where their stuff is at and what they're doing and how they're going after guys. And
any favorites? Anybody that you're like, this is my guy?
Right now, I'd probably say Wheeler.
Okay.
Wheeler's a big inspiration in terms of the way that he moves down the mound is somewhat similar. He's very smooth, effortless velocity. He's obviously very polished and earned his right in terms of one of the best pitchers in baseball, and kind of not just what he does in the regular season, but his reputation in the postseason and a lot of different things. So he's someone that I love to watch.
What about within your rotation? Is there a pitch in particular, or if you could take something from whether it's Castillo or Logan or Bryce Miller, who has, like you said, I heard 7 pitches now?
I think it's up to 7.
I remember Seawald.
It's probably 8 or 9 on the way that he's playing with.
Yeah. Remember Seawald used to just say, I got 2 pitches. That's
it.
But, I mean, as far as everybody else, what do you admire as far as the other guys?
I could pick something from everybody, I feel like. Bryce has got a new one every day. I think what he did with the splitter last year was pretty cool to watch, to him just pick it up over the offseason and put it right into his repertoire, and how we used it and like the command that he used it with. It wasn't, kind of for someone just starting to throw a new pitch, he makes it incredibly effortless in terms of just picking up, all right, I got a grip I like, and it goes straight into the repertoire, and he's using it, just as much as he's using his other pitches. I'd say Logan's like the same thing with the splitter, but I love his slider. how consistent it is, the shape, the way that he's able to use it with his other stuff. I'd say that's probably one of my favorite ones on the staff. Curb has an unbelievable slider as well. Super hard. His is a little bit more like mine in terms of like his arm angle and shape and things like that. Like Logan's pretty over the top. Kirby's a little bit lower. But his sweeper is unbelievably, like, the shape and the speed and the command on, like, with everything is, you know, Kirby's one of one in the league in terms of command. So he's super fun to watch. And Louis, I'd probably say his changeup. I'd say we actually have, like, I would say our stuff is probably the most similar on the staff in terms of arm angle and shapes and things like that. But I've always loved watching Louis' changeup, man. It's a beautiful thing to watch, and you can watch a really, really good changeup.
Yeah. What do you mean by shape?
Like
the
the
track.
analytics, yeah. In terms of if you were to look at, so that we use TrackMan, gives you, like, you throw a pitch, it gives you the numbers of induced vertical break, horizontal break, release height, all that type of stuff. So Louis and I have pretty similar release heights. We're pretty low to the ground, pretty like almost sidearm-ish. And then like the numbers of how much it's moving down and to the side. I wouldn't say it's super similar yet, but I would say my goal is to get somewhere to near where his is.
Hey, I've been asking everybody this question, pitchers and catchers anyway. ABS, it's in 60% of the parks here in spring training. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Pro, con, you like it, you don't like it? How do you feel?
I don't know. I think there's pros and cons to it. I'd say, obviously it takes some time to get used to, and it's been kind of funny watching people use it in challenges and things like that so far in a couple of games. There's definitely a couple of things that would need to get like polished out with it in terms of just like consistency, and now it's for human umps, it's like every ump kind of has a little bit different of a zone, so you're kind of trying to adjust to an umpire zone as you get into a start. And then if it's ABS, it's not quite umpire to umpire, it's more hitter to hitter, and so things would change in terms of like how tall or whatever the guy is. So that would probably be the hardest part adjusting to is okay, I just faced it's extreme, but I just faced Aaron Judge, and now I face Altuve, and now it's like it's way different versus for a single umpire, it's like, all right, I pretty much know he's given outside, he's not given inside, he's given up, he's not given down, whatever it is. That's a little bit easier to adjust to.
Did you do anything fun in the off season?
Nothing too crazy, honestly. I just time with family is probably the most important. Going home, seeing my parents, seeing my sister, dad's side, mom's side, whoever it is, try to just see family as much as I can. You miss out on a lot of opportunities during the year of, missing out on weddings and baby showers and things like that, and it's tough. So you try to get as much of that in as you can during the off season.
Hey, last one before we let you go. How do you like the attention that's growing on the rotation, but you specifically, you, Bryce, it just grows each year. Get guys like us requesting, can we interview him? Can he sit down with us? I mean, that's growing as well. Are you a guy that likes that, or are you like, I'd rather just go out there and pitch and not deal with anything?
I think I'm starting to learn that it comes with the job. If you want to be one of the best players in the world, which obviously is all of our goals, is, it kind of comes with the territory. Which is fine, but I think as long as you, like I said earlier, you keep the main thing, making sure that I'm still getting my work in, making sure that I'm still trying to get the most out of my days, making sure that, I'm finding a way to get better each and every day. That's the most important thing. You can handle your stuff, the way you need to do, and making sure that there are other parts of the job that come with it that you need to make sure that you're still, coming through on, but always keep the main thing the main thing.
And then speaking with Wyman and Bob is a close second.
Exactly.
Certainly.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Hey, man, we always appreciate you taking time with us. Always a fun conversation. We wish you the absolute best this season,
guys.
and look forward to seeing you.
Thanks for having me.
How cool was that, what you just saw, right? Great stuff. If you want more of that, you continue right here. We're going to have all kinds of stuff happening from Peoria live, and you find it right here on YouTube. And where else can they find it?
They can download the Seattle Sports app. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
That's very true,
Yeah.
what you said there.